My boyfriend's electric razor was borrowed by his female best friend. When she returned it, it was covered in tiny dark hairs. Are these her armpit hairs? I demanded, storming into the bathroom. Before my boyfriend could answer, a series of comments popped up in my vision like a live stream chat. Lol. This girlfriend is so petty. What else is a razor for if not for shaving? If she's this mad about armpit hair, imagine if she knew the bestie used it to shave her bikini line. She'd probably have a heart attack. Don't worry guys. If she doesn't throw a fit and start a huge fight, how will the male lead ever realize his true feelings? He's been hiding behind the best friend label for years because he's scared of losing her. This is true love, I'm telling you. Just waiting for the crate girlfriend to push him away so the bestie can swoop in and for him. Sparks will fly and they'll finally get their happily ever after. My boyfriend's annoyed voice snapped me back to reality. So what if they are? We're best friends. We don't care about that stuff. Stop being so dramatic. I just smiled and handed the razor back to him. It's your stuff. If you're not grossed out, then it's fine by me. Asher was a neat freak with a touch of OCD. Since we moved in together, I'd kept our apartment spotless. I hand-washed and ironed all his clothes, making sure there was never a single wrinkle. I mopped the floors twice a day and I changed the sheets every 3 days. Normally I would have meticulously cleaned every single hair off that razor before giving it back to him. But this time I just handed it to him, hairs and all. Asher stared at me, stunned. The livestream chat in my head exploded. WTF? Why isn't she flipping out? Isn't she supposed to have a full-blown meltdown and demand an explanation? Yeah, at this point in the story, the bestie and the male lead are still just friends. It's the crazy girlfriend's jealousy that pushes him into the bestie's arms. If she doesn't follow the script, what's gonna happen to our girl? This stupid side character is going off script. What is she planning? I ignored the ridiculous comments and walked out of the bathroom. I'm going to be late for work. Asher called after me, grabbing my arm. He didn't have to say it. I knew he didn't want to use that razor and was hoping I'd clean it for him. But why should I have to clean up after another woman's pubic hairs? Oh, I said flatly. Then you should probably hurry up. I gently closed the bedroom door behind me, ignoring the shocked look on his face, and calmly started packing my suitcase. Asher and I met our freshman year of college. He was the student body president and I was the top-ranked incoming student. We were assigned to co-host the orientation ceremony. I wasn't looking for a relationship, but he pursued me relentlessly. He wrote me heartfelt letters every morning and evening, brought me 3 home-cooked meals a day, and if I so much as glanced at something in a store window, it would appear on my desk the next day. When I was being bullied by some upperclassmen, he was always the first one there to defend me. Everyone said we were the perfect couple event. I was swept up in the romance of it all and agreed to be his girlfriend on his 18th attempt. The first time I heard about his female best friend was the night I said yes. We were watching a movie when his phone started buzzing incessantly. It's just my best bro, he'd whispered in my ear. Probably heard the good news and is calling to congratulate me. I'll just take this outside. I didn't think much of it at the time, but he was on the phone for the entire movie, an hour and a half. When the movie ended, I was pushed along with the crowd. Finally getting some fresh air. I saw him standing under a street light, moths fluttering around him. It was a hot summer night and his arms were covered in mosquito bites, but he hadn't moved an inch. As I got closer, I heard a cheerful feminine voice on the other end of the "Can't you stand a little closer to the light, dude? I can't see your face. You're finally in a relationship and you're just going to forget about your best friend, huh? We haven't seen each other in like 6 months. It hit me then. His best bro was a girl. I stared at Asher and he had a pat on his face. Don't even start with me. It's my first day in a relationship. You've been in one for 6 months. I didn't realize it then, but that was right when he had started pursuing me. Now, seeing the comments, it all made sense. My perfect fairy tale romance was just a lie, a childish game from the very beginning. Poor guy, he didn't even know his own heart back then. The bestie got a boyfriend first, so he got jealous and started dating someone else to compete with her. They were so. If only he had realized he was jealous back then, he wouldn't have been stuck with this psycho for so many years. And now they're about to get engaged. That's right. Asher and I were supposed to have our engagement party in 7 days. We'd been together for 7 years, from freshman year of college to my last year of my master's program. He was a year older than me and had a great job in his hometown. After a year of long distance, he had proposed 3 months ago. Even though I knew that being with him meant leaving my home of over 20 years and starting a new life in a new city, I had said yes without a second thought, but now I regretted it. The apartment we were living in was supposed to be our marital home. His family had paid for it in full, and my family had paid for the renovation. As I calmly packed my bags, I tried to figure out how to get my family's money back. The comments kept scrolling. Wait. Is she leaving him? This psycho doesn't get that she's just a plot device, does she? Stop messing with the story. Just as I was zipping up my suitcase, Asher walked in holding a brand new razor. He saw my suitcase and frowned. You're just going back to campus for your thesis defense, right? Why are you packing so much? Oh, right. I forgot she had to go back for her defense. Lol. I actually thought she was breaking up with him for a second. I guess I overestimated her. What are you guys thinking? She's obsessed with him. And their engagement party is in a week. The invitations have already been sent out. There's no way she's giving up that easily. I ignored the comments and Asher. I just tucked my ID and passport into my suitcase. He grabbed my hand. We need to talk. But his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his frown deepened. I might have to work late today, he said quickly. But I'll still be able to take you to the train station. Just wait for me at home. He rushed out the door. I thought he was really going to work. But then that evening, I got a text from the train ticket app. Your train ticket has been successfully changed. I jumped to my feet, my hand slipping from the handle of my suitcase. It crashed to the floor with a loud thud, scattering my panicked thoughts. My defense was tomorrow. I had specifically booked an evening train so Asher could take me to the station after work, but now it had been changed to the earliest train the next morning. That meant I would have to rush straight from the station to the university. And if there were any delays, I would miss my defense. How could this have happened? Was it a weather delay? I immediately called the ticket app's customer service. The moment I was connected to a representative, a chorus of LOLs filled the comments. OMG, guys, she's so dumb she actually thinks it was a weather delay. She's going to lose it when she finds out he was the one who changed it. Well, what was he supposed to do? Our strong, independent queen, the bestie, was finally showing a moment of weakness. He couldn't just abandon her. It's the crazy girlfriend's fault for not realizing she was getting in the way of true love. A chill went down my spine. Asher had changed my ticket just to be with his best friend, Sienna, who was feeling down. My hand was trembling as I dialed his number. Asher, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. Why did you change my train ticket? He just sighed. Sienna got fired. She's really upset. You know how she is, he continued. When she's sad, she stress eats. But she just had a stomach ulcer. As her best friend, I can't just leave her alone. It hit me then, so I said, my voice flat. When you rushed out this morning, you weren't going to work. You were going to be with Sienna. Suddenly, Sienna was on the phone. Her voice was hoarse. It's not his fault, Chloe. I'll tell him to come back and take you to the station right now. I told him I was fine, she added. He's always so. Asher sighed again. I could picture the look of annoyance on his face. Whenever it came to Sienna, he always got impatient with me. Even the comments were getting annoyed. This girlfriend is so annoying. She's interrupting their special moment. They were so close to confessing their true feelings, and she had to ruin it. I'll bet you $1 she's about to throw a tantrum. She really thinks that's how you win a man's heart. You don't need to bet on that. Of course she's going to go crazy. Asher sighed again, his voice thick with frustration. Chloe, I promise you won't miss your defense. You don't have to. I get it, I said, cutting him off. Then I hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there with the phone still in my hand, listening to the empty dial tone until it cut off. The comments buzzed angrily around me like mosquitoes. That's it? Where's the screaming match? Come on, flip the table. Throw the ring. Slap somebody. If she doesn't make a scene, how is he supposed to realize he chose the wrong girl? I set my phone down quietly, then picked my suitcase back up and placed it by the door. If he wanted to change my ticket, fine. If he wanted to prioritize Sienna again, fine. But I was done pretending not to understand what that meant. I barely slept that night. At dawn, I dragged my suitcase downstairs, called my own cab, and went to the station alone. The sky over the city was pale and washed out, the air too cold for early spring. I sat in the hard plastic seat of the waiting area, hands wrapped around a paper cup of coffee that had already gone lukewarm. My phone remained stubbornly silent. The comments did not. He's not even taking her to the station, lol. Bestie needed him, obviously. They're probably eating instant noodles together, sharing a blanket, crying over her being fired. Peak couple vibes. This girl really thinks a thesis defense is more important than true love. My train arrived. No Asher. No apology. No surprise bouquet like in all those drama clichés. Just me, my suitcase, and the familiar ache in my chest that no longer felt like heartbreak, but like a bruise that had been pressed one too many times. By some miracle, I made it to campus on time. I sprinted straight from the station to the university, suitcase rattling behind me. I arrived at the defense room slightly out of breath, hair windblown, cheeks flushed. The professors glanced up, some disapproving, but they said nothing. I straightened my blouse, smoothed my notes, and began my presentation. My voice was steady. My hands did not shake. Through the entire defense, I refused to look at my phone. I refused to think about Asher or Sienna or the way my life had apparently become a romance drama for bored strangers in my head. When it was over, the committee exchanged looks, murmured a few comments, and then the chair cleared his throat. Congratulations, Chloe. Very well done. You've passed. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. The pressure that had been sitting on my chest eased just a fraction. As soon as I stepped out of the room, my phone vibrated nonstop. 22 missed calls, 6 voicemails, dozens of messages from Asher. I opened one voicemail at random. Chloe, where are you? I told you to wait for me. I just finished up, and you're not at the apartment. Why are you not answering? Another. You should have told me you were leaving by yourself. I was planning to take you. This is really irresponsible. Another. You know today was important for me too, right? Things are complicated with Sienna. She's going through a lot. I can't just abandon her. The comments chimed in immediately. He's right, honestly. She's so needy. Why can't she support his friendships? If she were really confident, she wouldn't be threatened by the bestie. Ugh, this villainous-type girlfriend is exhausting. I scrolled through his texts, each one a variation of the same theme. Why didn't you wait? Why didn't you tell me you left? Why won't you pick up? Not a single, did the train switch cause problems for you? Not a single, are you okay? Did you make it? Not even a simple, did your defense go well? For a moment, I thought about typing out a long response, explaining how terrified I'd been at the idea of missing my defense, how I'd been shaking from anger and hurt when I found out he had changed my ticket without asking. Instead, I typed. I defended. It went well. Then I added. When I get back, we need to talk. About the engagement. And about the apartment. The comments went dead silent for a second. What? What did she say? Talk about the engagement? Wait, this wasn't in the outline? Is she actually trying to leave him? I slipped my phone into my pocket and headed to the administration building. The financial office was quiet, the air buzzing faintly with fluorescent lights. I approached the counter. Hi, I said. I need copies of all the renovation invoices for the apartment registered under my parents' name. It's for legal purposes. The clerk raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. He pulled up our file, printed out the documents, stamped them, and handed them over. I stared down at the neat rows of numbers. Paint, flooring, built-in cabinets, custom closets, appliances, lighting fixtures. Every cent my parents had poured into a marital home that suddenly felt like a set built for someone else's romance. I folded the papers carefully and slid them into a clear folder. The comments started up again, quieter this time. Legal purposes? Oh no. Guys, she's not seriously going to sue the male lead, is she? That's not how this kind of story works. The villainess is supposed to throw wine at the bestie, scream, and get dumped. Then the male lead regrets it 10 years later. That's the script. Maybe I'd missed the memo where I agreed to be in their story. I booked an afternoon train back to Asher's City. This time, I double-checked and triple-checked the ticket details. Nobody touched this one but me. By the time I reached our apartment complex, the sun was already setting, washing the buildings in orange light. I dragged my suitcase up the stairs, my heart pounding for entirely different reasons than before. When I reached our floor, I heard laughter. His laughter. Her laughter. I froze just before the turn in the hallway. The apartment door was slightly ajar. I could see a sliver of the living room. Sienna's shoes were by the door, neatly lined up next to Asher's. My knuckles tightened around the suitcase handle. The comments crackled like static. Guys, we're getting a live confrontation scene. Is this the part where the girlfriend walks in, sees them hugging, and throws the ring? I've been waiting for this chapter all week. I didn't walk in. Not yet. Instead, I stayed in the shadow of the hallway and listened. Chloe's probably halfway back to campus by now, Asher was saying. She won't be home until tomorrow. Sienna sighed, her voice thick with the remnants of tears. I told you, you don't have to keep changing your plans for me. I'm used to handling things on my own. You had a panic attack, Asher shot back. You just got fired. Your ulcer came back. Of course I have to be here. There was a pause, then a soft, watery laugh. You're going to make your fiancé hate me, Sienna murmured. Maybe she already does. Asher's voice dropped. She's just not very understanding sometimes. She doesn't get that you and I have history. We've known each other for what, 15 years? 17, Sienna corrected gently. You forgot my age again. 17, he repeated. Right. You've always been there. Before Chloe. Before all of this. I pressed my back against the wall, the folder of invoices sharp against my ribs. The comments were swooning. The chemistry. I can't breathe, they're so meant to be. Did you hear that? Before Chloe. She's the intruder in their story. Just kiss already. Asher continued, oblivious. I just need Chloe to be more mature about it, he said. Once we're married, she'll calm down. She's just insecure right now. And what if she doesn't? Sienna asked softly. What if she keeps thinking I'm trying to steal you? He hesitated. Then I'll figure it out, he said eventually. But I can't let you go through this alone. You know that. The words that might have broken me a year ago, 5 years ago, slid over me now like water over glass. Not because they didn't hurt. They did. They burned. But they weren't surprising anymore. This was who he was. This was who he had always been. The comments were practically screaming. This is it. This is the moment. He chooses the bestie she overhears, has a breakdown, runs away, gets into a car accident, forgets her memories, and then years later they meet again at a charity gala. I stepped forward and pushed the door open the rest of the way. Don't worry, I said. You won't have to figure it out. They both jolted. Sienna, perched on the couch with a mug of tea, went pale. Asher shot to his feet. Chloe? I thought, why are you back already? Your defense? I passed, I said. Thanks for asking. His mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The comments were losing their minds. She heard. She heard. She heard everything. Please throw something. Please. Just once. For the culture. I walked in, wheeled my suitcase to the bedroom door, and left it there. Then I returned to the living room and set the clear folder down on the coffee table between Asher and Sienna. What's this? Asher asked warily. The renovation invoices, I said. My parents' contribution to this apartment. The built-in closets, the kitchen, the bathroom, the flooring, the lighting. Everything they paid for so we could have a beautiful home after we got married. I looked at Sienna. Don't worry, I added. I'm not going to throw them at you. She flinched anyway. Asher's brows knit together. Why are you showing me this? Because, I said calmly, I'm breaking off the engagement. The world went quiet. For a terrifying, unnatural second, even the comments stopped. Then, chaos. What? What do you mean? No, 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 no. This is not the breakup chapter. It's supposed to happen after he publicly humiliates her at the engagement party, not before. Is she refusing to be dumped? Asher stared at me like I'd spoken another language. Don't joke around, he said. You're just upset right now. We can talk about this after. I'm not upset, I interrupted. I'm tired. He froze. I'm tired of having my train tickets changed without my consent so you can rescue another woman from her emotional crisis, I continued. I'm tired of being called insecure whenever I point out that your boundaries with Sienna are non-existent. I'm tired of being told I should understand while nobody bothers to understand me. My voice didn't rise. I didn't cry. I just laid the words out between us like cards. Asher, I said quietly, you haven't been my boyfriend for a long time. You've been Sienna's emotional partner and my roommate. Sienna's eyes welled up again. Chloe, that's not fair, she whispered. We're just friends. I never meant to come between. I know, I cut in. You meant to just borrow his razor. Just call him every night during our dates. Just show up crying on the day of my thesis defense. Just need him a little more every time. She swallowed, looking down. The comments sputtered defensively. She's attacking our girl for having problems? Sienna didn't ask to be fired. She's allowed to lean on her best friend. The girlfriend is being dramatic again. I looked back at Asher. I'm not accusing you of cheating, I said. That would require secret behavior. You've never hidden any of this from me. You genuinely don't think you're doing anything wrong. I'm not, he insisted. I'm allowed to have female friends. You can't tell me who I can and can't care about. You're right, I said softly. I can't. And I won't. He blinked. But I can decide what kind of relationship I want to be in, I continued. And I don't want to marry a man who changes my travel plans during the most important week of my degree so he can spoon-feed cake to another woman because she's too sad to eat. Asher flushed. It wasn't like that. Maybe not, I conceded. But you weren't with me. You weren't even thinking about me. And that's the point. The comments were scrambling now, trying to reorient themselves. Okay, wait, maybe this is a fake breakup. Yeah, the male lead will chase her, apologize, then realize he loves her for real. She's just raising her value before the engagement party. Right? I picked up the folder and flipped it open. My parents paid for these renovations with the understanding that this would be my future married home, I said. That's not happening anymore. So you and your parents need to reimburse them. That's not how it works, Asher snapped. My family paid for the apartment. Your family paid for the renovations. That was the deal. The deal was based on a marriage that isn't going to happen, I said. If your parents want to keep the renovations, they can. But they're going to pay for them. I'm not leaving my family's money behind so Sienna can enjoy brand new cabinets and underfloor heating while you two play house. Sienna's face went white. I never said I would move in here, she protested. You don't have to say it, I replied. We both know how this story goes, right? The comments sputtered in offended outrage. How dare she say it out loud? That's so meta. She's ruining the atmosphere. Asher raked a hand through his hair. Chloe, can we please talk about this calmly? We've been together 7 years. You can't just walk away over a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, I said. It's a pattern. And I should have walked away years ago. That's on me. My voice softened. I don't hate you, I added. Honestly, that would be easier. I'm just done. I slid the engagement ring off my finger and placed it on the coffee table, next to the folder. Asher, I said, call your parents. Tell them the engagement is off. You have until the original date of the engagement party to arrange repayment to my family. After that, we'll handle it legally. You're being ridiculous, he said. You think my parents are just going to hand over that kind of money because you suddenly changed your mind? I smiled faintly. Oh, I'm not asking them to hand it over, I said. I'm asking them to choose what matters more to them, their reputation or the cost of renovations. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? You'll see, I said. In 7 days. The comments shrieked. 7 days? What is she planning? A counterattack at the engagement party? Someone leak the next episode right now. I turned and headed for the bedroom. Where are you going? Asher demanded. To pack the rest of my things, I said. I'll stay on campus until graduation. After that, I'll figure out where I want to live. Don't worry, I'll be gone before your parents come over this weekend. Sienna stood up abruptly. Chloe, wait, she said. You can't just. Please, I said, stopping in the doorway. Don't ask me to be understanding one more time. I'm fresh out. I closed the door behind me. For the first time since the comments had started appearing in my life, their voices felt muffled, like they were coming from another room. I could still hear them arguing, theorizing, placing bets on whether I would really go through with it. But their noise didn't reach that quiet place inside me that had finally made a decision. The next week passed in a blur of phone calls, logistics, and strained conversations with both families. Asher's mother called me, her voice tight with forced patience. Chloe, dear, we've already sent out the engagement invitations, she said. The banquet hall is booked. People are expecting a celebration. If you cancel now, it will be very embarrassing for our family. For yours and mine, I replied. Which is why I suggest we be honest. Honest? She echoed sharply. We can tell people the engagement has been called off by mutual decision, I said. And that the financial arrangements regarding the apartment have been resolved fairly. That way, nobody speculates about who wronged whom. My own mother was less calm on the phone. Are you sure this is what you want? She asked for the third time. You've been with him so long. Relationships have rough patches. Maybe you two just need counseling. Mom, I said quietly, if I marry him, I will spend the rest of my life coming second to his best friend. Is that what you want for me? There was a long silence. No, she said at last. No, it isn't. If you're sure. Your father and I will support you. But we want that money back, Chloe. We're not rich. We can't just write it off. You'll get it back, I promised. The comments had endless opinions about all of this. If she just endured, she'd be rewarded later? Yeah, male leads always regret taking the best friend for granted. She's throwing away a 7-year relationship and a fully renovated apartment. For what? Pride? For myself, I thought. 7 days later, the engagement party went ahead. Sort of. The banquet hall was full of flowers, soft lighting, and round tables draped in white cloth. Guests milled about, chatting, sipping champagne. Our names were printed on a giant banner at the front of the room. Congratulations on the engagement of Asher Miller and Chloe Harris. I stood near the entrance, wearing a simple dress I'd bought with my own money. No tiara, no diamond necklace gifted by his family. Just me. My parents stood on one side of the room, stiff and closed off. Asher's parents were on the other, talking to a cluster of relatives, their smiles strained. Asher himself hovered in the center, glancing between us with a helpless expression. Sienna wasn't there. I had made that a condition. If she shows up, I'd said, I walk out immediately, and I will publicly explain why. He'd gone quiet then, and for once, he hadn't argued. The comments were having a meltdown. Why is there still a party if the engagement is off? Maybe it's a fake out. Maybe they'll reconcile in front of everyone. Yeah, this is prime groveling material. He'll kneel, propose again, cut off the bestie, and choose her. I'm ready to cry. The event host tapped the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, thank you for joining us to celebrate the engagement of Asher and Chloe. I walked up to the stage before he could say another word. Asher, I said, taking the microphone, would you please join me? He came up slowly, eyes searching mine. Chloe, what are you doing? What we should have done days ago, I said. Being honest. I turned to face the room. Thank you all for coming, I began. I know you were invited here to celebrate our engagement. But there has been a change of plans. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The comments went wild. Oh my God. She's doing IT in public. This is even better than I imagined. Asher and I continued, have decided not to get married. Gasps now. Some people turned to look at his parents. Others looked at mine. This is a mutual decision, I said. We realize we are not the right partners for each other. It would be unfair to both of us to enter a marriage we're not fully committed to. That much, at least, was technically true. I didn't mention his best friend. I didn't mention the razor, or the train ticket, or the ulcer, or the late-night phone calls under buzzing street lamps. Those were the details of my private pain, not ammunition for public entertainment. The comments were furious. What do you mean you're not going to reveal the drama? Call out the bestie. Expose him. This is so unsatisfying. Regarding the apartment, I went on, my voice clear, I would like to publicly thank my parents for paying for the renovations that turned an empty space into a home. Since there will no longer be a marriage, we have asked Asher's family to reimburse the renovation costs or transfer ownership of the renovated property to my family. We will sort out the details privately. I looked at his parents. They looked like they'd bitten into a lemon. But under all those watching eyes, they couldn't protest without making themselves look cheap. Asher stared at me, stunned. This is not how I thought you'd handle this, he said under his breath. I know, I replied softly. You expected a meltdown. You expected me to scream and cry and make everyone take your side. That would have been easier for you, wouldn't it? He flinched. I faced the room again. I'm grateful for the years Asher and I shared, I said. But sometimes, loving someone once doesn't mean you're meant to love them forever. I wish him happiness in the future, with someone whose story truly matches his. The comments scrambled to keep up. Wait. Someone whose story truly matches his. Is she talking about? No way. Is she? Handing him to the bestie? I kept my expression neutral. Please enjoy the food in the evening, I finished. Consider this a farewell party instead. I handed the microphone back to the host and stepped down from the stage. For a moment, the comments in my head rose to a deafening roar. This isn't how it's supposed to go. You're ruining the genre. Nobody wants to watch a side character calmly exit the plot. And then, suddenly, they cut off. Mid-complaint, mid-sentence. Silence. Real silence. It was so complete I almost stumbled. Asher caught up with me near the back of the hall. Chloe, he said quietly. You didn't have to protect me like that. I looked at him. I wasn't protecting you, I said. I was protecting myself. I don't want to be the crazy ex-girlfriend in your story. I don't want to be the villain in hers. I just want to be gone. His jaw tightened. So that's it? That's it, I said gently. Call Sienna. Tell her it's okay now. You don't have to hide behind words like best friend anymore. His eyes darkened. What if I don't end up with her? I shrugged. Then that's your story to figure out, I said. But for once, I'm choosing not to stick around and wait for the plot twist. I walked past him, my parents falling into step beside me. We left the hall together. Outside, the night air was cool and clean. The parking lot lights cast long shadows on the asphalt. My father unlocked the car, and my mother turned to me. You handled that very well, she said quietly. If it had been me at your age, I would have thrown the cake at his head. I laughed, unexpectedly. Trust me, I said. I thought about it. As we drove away, I waited for the comments to return. For the snide voices complaining about my lack of dramatic flair, for the strangers demanding I cry harder, break more, hurt longer. Nothing. Just the hum of the engine and the low murmur of my parents talking about logistics, about money, about new beginnings. Weeks passed. I moved my things out of the apartment. The renovation money came back, grudgingly, in installments. I finished my thesis revisions, attended graduation, and accepted a job offer in a completely different city. Asher called a few times. I let the calls ring out, then eventually stopped looking at the screen when his name popped up. He texted once to say that he and Sienna had decided to take some time to think things through. I wished them both well in my head and moved on. One evening, in my new apartment with its cheap furniture and mismatched dishes, I stood by the window watching the city lights flicker on. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a link. Curious, I clicked it. A streaming site loaded, showing a page for a popular romance drama series. The synopsis made my skin prickle. The story of a man and his longtime female best friend, torn apart and brought back together by fate, with a jealous, insecure girlfriend standing in their way. Below it, a wall of comments. I scrolled. Some were furious at the male lead. Some defended the best friend. Some hated the girlfriend with a passion that felt disturbingly familiar. Near the top, a small gray bar read, "You have been unsubscribed from this channel." I stared at it for a long moment. Then I left. I closed the page, turned off my phone, and went to make myself dinner. The voices in my head were gone. The story I was in now didn't have watchers, or shipping wars, or scripts I was expected to follow. It was just mine. And for the first time since I could remember, I was curious to see what happened next.